The journey begins high in the Andes Mountains of South America. This is coca country. For centuries, indigenous people have chewed coca leaves for energy and to suppress hunger. Farmers harvest the leaves, often living in poverty despite their role in this lucrative industry. The leaves are then taken to makeshift labs hidden deep within the jungle. The air hangs heavy with the smell of gasoline and chemicals. Workers mix the coca leaves with solvents like kerosene and cement powder. They extract a crude paste, a gooey substance containing coca's active ingredient cocaine alkaloid. This paste is the raw material for the next stage in the journey. The crude cocaine paste, still a far cry from the white powder associated with the drug, embarks on a perilous journey. Transported out of the remote labs, it often changes hands multiple times. Smugglers use various methods, from human couriers known as mullahs to small planes landing on clandestine airstrips. Each exchange, each border crossed, increases the risk and the price. The paste eventually reaches more sophisticated labs, often hidden in urban areas. Here, skilled chemists risking their freedom and lives transform the crude paste into pure cocaine hydrochloride. This is a delicate and dangerous process, requiring expertise and dangerous chemicals. The risks are high, the potential rewards even higher. The transformation is dramatic. The brownish paste becomes a fine white powder. Its value increases exponentially with each stage of refinement. What started as a few cents worth of coca leaves is now worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars per gram. The transformation from plant to powder is complete, but the journey is far from over. The cocaine, now a valuable commodity, is prepared for its most dangerous journey yet, the journey to the insatiable markets of the United States. This journey will involve sophisticated smuggling networks, corrupt officials, and the ever-present threat of violence. The cocaine, now packaged in airtight bricks, is ready for its clandestine journey north. This is a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. Traffickers utilize a network of land, sea, and air routes, constantly adapting to law enforcement efforts. The US-Mexico border, a porous line in the sand, becomes the primary battleground. The methods are creative and daring. Drug submarines, semi-submersibles that hug the coastline, ferry vast quantities of cocaine. Go-fast boats, their powerful engines roaring, attempt to outrun Coast Guard patrols. Corrupt officials, lured by the promise of easy money, turn a blind eye, facilitating the flow of narcotics. Each successful crossing increases the value of the cocaine. What might have been worth a few $1,000s per kilo in South America now commands tens of thousands in Mexico. The closer it gets to its final destination, the higher the stakes, and the greater the potential profit. The journey is fraught with danger. Seizures, betrayals, and violence are ever-present threats. The cocaine trade leaves a trail of blood and corruption in its wake. Yet the lure of immense profits continues to fuel this illicit industry. Mexico, a country grappling with its own demons, becomes the cocaine's penultimate stop. Powerful drug cartels, ruthless and well-armed, control the flow of narcotics. These organizations, with their roots in corruption and violence, act as wholesalers, brokers, and enforcers. The cartels operate with impunity in many regions, their influence reaching deep into the corridors of power. They bribe officials, terrorize communities, and wage bloody turf wars against rivals. The violence is relentless, claiming the lives of law enforcement officers, journalists, and innocent civilians. The cocaine, now under the control of the cartels, is warehoused, divided, and prepared for its final journey. Its value continues to soar, fueled by the risks involved and the insatiable demand in the United States. The cartels, driven by greed and power, act as gatekeepers, controlling the flow of this lucrative commodity. Mexico becomes a battleground, a no-man's land where the war on drugs is waged with brutal efficiency. The human cost is staggering, a stark reminder of the devastating impact of the cocaine trade. Section 5, American Soil Distribution and Street Economics. The final leg of the journey brings the cocaine into the United States. The cartels, with their sophisticated networks, utilize a variety of methods. Drugs are smuggled through legal ports of entry, hidden in trucks, cars, and cargo containers. They are flown in on private planes, landing on remote airstrips. The ingenuity of the smugglers seems limitless. Once across the border, the cocaine is distributed through a complex network of wholesalers, dealers, and street-level sellers. Each intermediary takes a cut, further increasing the price. A kilo of cocaine worth tens of thousands in Mexico can fetch hundreds of thousands on the streets of American cities. The transformation is complete. The coca leaves, harvested in the Andes, are now lines of white powder sold in nightclubs, street corners, and suburban homes. The human cost of this journey is immeasurable. Addiction, overdose, violence, and corruption. The cocaine trade, a multi-billion-dollar industry, thrives on supply and demand. As long as there is demand, there will be those willing to risk everything to supply it. The fight against this trade is a constant battle, a war waged on multiple fronts with no easy solutions. Section 6. A Kingpin's Rise. The story of Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar, the name itself evokes fear, power, and the seemingly limitless wealth that the cocaine trade can generate. Escobar, the leader of the Medellin cartel, rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most powerful and ruthless drug lords in history. Escobar's story is a cautionary tale of ambition, corruption, and the corrosive effects of unimaginable wealth. He understood the dynamics of supply and demand, building an empire on the insatiable appetite for cocaine in the United States. He was a master manipulator, using violence and intimidation to control his rivals and corrupt officials. At his peak, Escobar's cartel controlled 80% of the global cocaine trade, generating billions of dollars annually. He became a folk hero to some, providing for the poor in his hometown of Medellin. To others, he was a ruthless criminal, responsible for the deaths of thousands, including police officers, journalists, and innocent civilians. Escobar's reign of terror ultimately ended in a hail of bullets on a Medellin rooftop. His death, while a victory for the Colombian government and its U.S. allies, did little to stem the flow of cocaine. The demand remained, and a new generation of traffickers was ready to take his place. Section 7. Violence and Corruption, the Spoils of the Cocaine Trade. The cocaine trade thrives on violence and corruption. It corrupts law enforcement, undermines governments, and destabilizes entire regions. Cartels operate with impunity, their vast wealth buying loyalty, silence, and a blind eye to their atrocities. The violence is often indiscriminate and brutal, a tool to eliminate rivals, silence critics, and instill fear. Cartel turf wars turn cities into war zones, leaving countless innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire. Journalists who dare to report on the cartel's activities are often targeted, their silenced voices a testament to the climate of fear. The corruption extends far beyond bribes and payoffs. Cartels infiltrate government agencies, police forces, and the judiciary. They manipulate the system from within, ensuring their continued operation and impunity. The lines between law enforcement and criminality blur, making it increasingly difficult to distinguish between those fighting the drug trade and those profiting from it. The cocaine trade's legacy of violence and corruption leaves a scar on society. It erodes trust in institutions, fuels a climate of fear, and perpetuates a cycle of violence that seems to have no end. Section 8. The Human Cost, Addiction, Overdose, and Societal Decay. While the economics of the cocaine trade are staggering, the human cost is immeasurable. Addiction, a disease that knows no socio-economic boundaries, tears families apart, destroys lives, and burdens healthcare systems. Cocaine's allure, the promise of euphoria and energy, is often a deceptive siren song. The initial high is fleeting, replaced by cravings, paranoia, and a descent into despair. Addiction takes hold, trapping individuals in a cycle of dependence and self-destruction. Overdose deaths, fueled by increasingly potent and readily available cocaine, are a tragic consequence of this epidemic. Each number represents a life cut short, a family shattered by grief. The ripple effects of addiction extend far beyond the individual, impacting communities and straining social services. The cocaine trade's impact on society is profound. It fuels crime, violence, and instability. It undermines public health, erodes trust in institutions, and perpetuates a cycle of poverty and despair. Addressing this multifaceted crisis requires a comprehensive approach that encompasses prevention, treatment, and law enforcement efforts. Section 9. A Global Crisis. The Unending War on Drugs. The cocaine trade, fueled by demand and vast profits, challenges governments and law enforcement worldwide. Despite decades of efforts, success has been elusive. The war on drugs, coined in the 70s, has had mixed results. Significant seizures and arrests occur, but the flow of cocaine continues. Demand in the US and Europe remains high, ensuring profits for traffickers. Alternative development programs for farmers have had limited success. Poverty and cartel threats force farmers to grow coca. A multi-pronged approach is needed. This includes disrupting networks, strengthening institutions, and supporting addiction treatment. Examining drug policies, including decriminalization, is crucial. The cocaine trade is a complex issue with no easy solutions. It requires international cooperation and innovative approaches. Only through sustained effort can we break the cycle of this devastating trade.